Hey everyone, it's Thomas here. So today I'm going to upload the sound demo for the S300, and I also want to take the time to talk about sound demos because the channel has grew to a bit bigger than I expected, and people are starting to take my advice seriously. People start to take these sound demo seriously. And I guess I want to address that because, you know, when I first started this channel, I was hoping to get maybe 100 subscribers. I say, oh, you know, make a few online friends and we can chat about stereo every 7 to 10 days. Like virtual water cooler chat. That was the goal of it. But, you know, we're at close to 6,000, which is like, what? So in the beginning, I didn't want to do sound demos for obvious reasons, but then I get people asking me for it. Fine, okay, let's do it. And eventually I realized that it makes more sense to do sound demos comparing speakers. The problem with these sound demo is that, you see, these speakers, it's more than just tone, right? It's more than just high, bass, mids. You can hear the relative difference in a sound demo, but the whole point of having these two speakers is that it creates an illusion, a soundstage illusion, imaging, transparency, all those blah, blah, blah words. It's something that's created by two speakers. And you have to be here to experience whatever it's trying to create. So high-end audio, high-end speakers, it does it really well compared to, let's say, entry-level ones. And you can't capture that in a sound demo because when you're listening to the sound demo, you're creating that illusion of an illusion with whatever you're using, headphones, your speaker, and so forth. So when I listen back to the sound demo at home, I obviously I can see, okay, the big difference between what I'm hearing and what actually is recorded. But that's fine, right? Because at the end of the day, if we understand that this is really just for fun, then it's okay. But the problem is if you start taking a little bit too serious, it makes me go like, am I doing a disservice uploading the sound demo? Part of the reason I say this is because when I look at the video from the ELAC Debut 6.2 comparing to the dying audio and the LS50, it is true, the ELAC Debut 6.2, it is a fantastic speaker that's performing way above its price point. And if you just listen to the sound demo, I can understand why the gap between this and the high-end speaker does not show up in the sound demo. But if you were here and if you had time to actually live with all three speakers, there is a gap. There's absolutely a gap. And is it worth the 10-time price difference? Of course, it's all relative, right? But when you're talking about 10-time price difference, you really need to live with the speaker to judge that, to evaluate that. So if I look at that video, I don't think anybody said that, you know what, darn, the dying audios are so good, I'm just going to go buy the dying audio. And you don't get a lot of that. It's the reverse. Everybody's raving about the ELAC 6.2. So that got me thinking, okay, so I'm going to upload the S300 video. And I chose the Sony SS-CS5 because that's the only budget speaker I have here. I'm going to run into the same thing. Everybody's going to rave about the Sony SS5, and this is like maybe how many times? 7 times the price of the Sony. Sony is how much again? 200 something, 1,006. Yeah, it's about 7 or 8 times. Is it worth 7 or 8 times? Now, for me, 100% is worth 7 or 8 times. But the sound demo will not show that. That's what is making me go like, am I doing a disservice uploading the sound demo? So, regardless, let's talk about the setup. The Buchardt S300 is a very interesting speaker because of its, it has a soft dome tweeter, right? But it's a little bit different than the other soft dome tweeter I tried. It's not 100% smooth. As I mentioned in the other video, it's a little bit glassy. And some people like it, some people don't, because some people they're looking for that silky smoothness, and some people want that bite, that zing to it, right? They don't want the LS50 because it's too much, and they want something a little bit easier to digest. And This definitely has it. In fact, recently I picked up a Macintosh C47 preamp. The reason I picked it up is because I wanted to answer the question, can a high-end solid-state preamp rival a tube preamp in terms of creating that holographic image? So to satisfy my curiosity, I went out and I bought one. I'll make a review on it one day. So what I did not expect though was that when I brought it home, that day I had these S300 hooked up, put it in my setup. I don't have my Macintosh 352 anymore. I don't have my Macintosh 452 anymore because I sold the 352. I sold it because, you know, it was after me debating about it. Does it make sense to keep a 4000 amp? It was a debate between my heart and my head, and eventually I decided to sell it. One day I'll also make a video talking about what goes through my head when I choose equipment. It's always that price versus performance debate in my head. So anyway, so I took out my regular Macintosh 2100. For those who have been following me, you know that that's my go-to amp whenever I transition between amps. I actually love that amp. It's the problem with that amp is that it's only 100 watt and the bass is a little bit boomy on it. It's like the Macintosh engineer decided to turn on the, you know, like the tone control bass. They turn it up to the max. It's like a bit cheating. Anyway, I had the C47 plugged to it, and for the first time I heard a soft dome tweeter catching up to a metal based dome tweeter in terms of that zing and that sparkling sound. It was like, wow. I'm like, holy cow, this is pretty impressive. And after that, I didn't try the C47 with any of my speakers because that setup was just great. I wanted to listen to it. So I listened to it for a few days. Then my friend dropped by and they snatched the C47 away, so I don't have it anymore. They borrowed it. So I don't know when I'm going to get it back though. So I figure, you know what, okay, forget it. I'm just going to record a sound demo with what I have right now. It's too bad because if I record with the C47, you get to hear how sparkling these tweeters can be. Maybe I'll do it when if I pick up a KEF R700. I might pick up one today. Anyway, I might do a comparison video that way then. Anyway, so the tweeter, the fact that it can sparkle like that has its pros and cons, right? As I said, it's not silky smooth. And when I pair it with my Bel Canto, which is a Class D amp. Now, first of all, let me get this out of the way. Class D amps are fantastic, but not all Class D amps are fantastic. All right, let's just get this out of the way. My own reference system, I use Class D. So, but I also recognize that with Class D, it does not necessarily work with every setup that I have. It does not necessarily work with all the speakers I have. Sure, I mean, it'll sound okay, but it doesn't sound fantastic with all the speakers I have. Class AB, Class A, they're much more forgiving and much more easier to work with. But Class D, it's a bit like a metal-based dome tweeter. It is good for certain things, and when it's good, it's really good. But doesn't work for everything. So it doesn't work for the Buchardt S300. When I pair my Bel Canto with it, there's that hardness. Is it hardness or glassiness to it that bothers me? As I said, the glassiness or whatever sharpness this tweeter has, if you are able to pair it well with the right preamp amp, in the case I mentioned before, the C47, it's amazing, incredible. So with the Bel Canto, it didn't work. I tried different combinations. So right now I have it paired to my Exasound E28 DAC. I'm using it as a preamp. That's actually a pretty good DAC that works really, really well as a preamp. All my other DACs can't do that. Even the PS Audio Perfect Wave, I never use it as a preamp. The Exasound E28 is the only one that I would consider using as a preamp. Anyway, so I have it plugged to my Macintosh 2100 and it sounds okay. Right now it sounds pretty okay. I would say about 70% to my taste. Well, this is what I have right now today to use to record my sound demo. Another thing I found interesting is the Sony SSCS5, because I was recording multiple speakers to compare, right? When I push the volume on it, and especially when I use the Macintosh 2100 where it's exaggerating the bass, the Sony actually has a lot of bass. I'm like, what the hell? It's like, wow. But there's a catch. I have to push the volume. See this with low volume? There's bass. The Sony, I need to push the volume. The Totem Signature one, I have to push the volume. So in today's sound demo, I'm gonna, as I was listening to it and working on it, I realized I'm gonna run into the same problem as the ELAC versus LS50 versus Dying Audio video. The same problem. The gap in the sound demo is not that significant because you're looking about 7 times price difference, right? You expect like, whoa, it's gonna like be way better. So just take the sound demo with a grain of salt, actually with a ton of salt. I mean, the Sony SSCS5 sounds really good with whatever setup I have here. It sounds really good with the MC2100 Macintosh. I was very surprised, actually, to be honest. If I did the video with that setup, I'll probably give a few more points to the Sony. Another thing, power. You need power with these. You know, I mentioned it casually, you need power. And I think I need to stress that point because as I was playing with the Macintosh 2100, and as you know, it's only 100 watts. And when I start pushing the volume on it, that's where I realized, oh, okay, it's straining. It's like it's trying to work a bit hard. It's like a little kid trying to yell. Maybe some people consider that as compression and whatnot, but I can understand that these speakers need power. So that's why I have that friend who tried it with vintage gear and he felt like the mid-range, he wished there was a little bit more density, and my other friend with the 450 watt Macintosh go like, no, there's no problem. That is assuming that you listen a little bit high, right, the volume. Okay, I'm rambling right now. Okay, so until next time,